They could just suggest things. They may even have a vote on the city council, but they really don't have.
Yeah. But each city council member got to ask one question, almost like, whose line is it? You know, they asked the same question of each candidate. And the question that Duffy asked, and I give him 3 cheers for asking it, I give him an F for the way he phrased it or the context. You want to be in that lane. And
small victories.
Take a left.
Here?
Yeah, well, get in the westbound.
Oh.
Yeah. This will take us on out to Wanamaker. But, anyway, he asked the question, how will you give rise to the creative class?
Yeah.
I mean, just direct quote of the title of that book.
Mm-hmm.
So when I heard him ask that, I was just like, wow, he read the book.
Mm-hmm.
He got it, you know. And I think most of the candidates, and maybe he was being clever in the way he did this, but when he asked the question of the candidates, they kind of looked at him like, what? Are you talking about putting an elevator in an art gallery? Give rise to the creative class? Are you talking about taking the art class at Topeka High and moving it to the 3rd floor? What, you know, what the hell are you talking about? You know, and so in some ways, you know, maybe he was fishing like, have you read this book? You know what this, you know.
Are you familiar?
Yeah. Or he might have been just clumsy and ham-fisted.
It makes dollars and cents in the end. It brings economic development to your city. It encourages companies to want to come and stay. It says to the world, hey, this city has its quaintness, but also it has its sophistication too.
Yeah.
And you know, when you give rise to that, all of a sudden, real estate becomes worth something. Crime goes down. And, you know, there's a blogger in Kansas City who likes to argue, well, that's just frivolous. When we can't even pay for our sewers, why would we want to? And I'm like, because it's so much better for the city overall. Because when you get people in who can pay their taxes, then you're paying for your sewers, you know?
Yeah.
But when you keep saying, we need to keep feeding keep giving handouts to
developers.
Well, not only to developers, but also to the homeless, and you know, without really fixing the problem. I mean, all that ever really does is throw money at the problem.
Yeah.
Throwing money at, and Americans have been good at that.
Yeah.
But the actual cure is in coming out and saying, all right, we need to encourage people who live here who are creative, energetic, and who would go out on weekday nights and shop in our stores and eat in our restaurants.
And spend money in places that are going to keep that money in the local economy.
Mm-hmm. Spend money at the...
But, yeah, it's a lot of people in places like Topeka, they have this mentality of it's either or. It's you do this or you do that. You can't do both. One has to exclude the other.
But if Topeka wasn't building more baseball, football, softball stadiums every 5 steps,
Wanamaker.
And you know, too, the something that's really smart to do is when you build that recreational complex, you build into it an open arts aspect to it as well.
Yeah.
You know, you build in a room where theaters, a little black box theater can go in, or you know, or performances can be staged.
Yeah.
But you know, part of that too, and this is near and dear to both of our hearts and our past, is you open it up to everyone. You allow kids and their bands to come in and play. You encourage it.
Oh, I found out the hard way in the 80s when I was always scrambling around looking for a place to do shows. It's like, oh, okay, there's this community center. And when I talk to different people, they're like, oh, the community center. They've got, you know, and I'd go in and I'd talk to whoever the director was. And I'm like, well, you got this big multi-purpose room, and it was built as a multi-purpose room.
And they look at you and go, okay, what? So when do you want to stage your gospel performance? No. Oh, when do you want to do your country western act? No.
It wasn't even that. It was like, oh, well, we use that room for basketball. And I'm like, yeah, but not on Saturday nights. You got nothing